So Ledger Insights, Google presented Google Pay to what? BIS, the Bank of International Settlements. This is big, very big. Anything that has to do with Google, the BIS, Quant, I would be paying attention to it. I think you guys want to pay attention to it as well. I know it's getting a little bit late tonight, but I think you want to see what this is all about. So here it is. What is this? Google Pay to BIS in central banks as a solution for what? Offline CBDCs. We are going there, are we not? Yes, we are. Let's get into the hot topic. So this is straight from Ledger Insights. Blockchain for banking. Google pitches offline CBDC to central banks. Interesting. Yesterday, the BIS Innovation Hub published a design guide for offline central bank digital currencies as part of another project, Project Polaris. Ooh, another project. It involves a dozen vendors, presenting their solutions to several central banks. One of them happens to be a provider of, let's face it, Google. Although the BIS document does not discuss Google's offering. Now it says Google Pay wallets already supporting offline transactions, but both are for card-based payments and in India for UPI payments. This is going to allow a limited number of offline transactions before internet connection is, of course, required. Wow. We talk about with Stellar serving the unbanked, or we talk about on-ramps, off-ramps. Well, what about the BIS? The BIS is getting all over this, but through what? Google. And we already have that plug with, QNT. So I think QNT, obviously with Overledger, is the enabler of this. This is a big, huge thing, in my opinion. In India, it's not just about that, customers can be offline, but this supports offline merchants. How many people who are offline who are merchants? Think about it, man. This is game changer stuff. Offline payments are perceived as riskier. They are. Online transactions can be verified and checked for money laundering and double spending, whereas offline ones can't. One option is to secure smart cards similar to prepaid cards for offline CBDC. Another is requiring a smartphone to connect to the internet occasionally. Now, I want to state this. What is one thing we have learned lately? One thing we have learned lately is one of Quant's new products. What is that product, guys? It is Quant's Authorize. So Authorize is going to solve what? The problem here in regards to, is there malicious actors here? Right. Do you not understand or see how beautiful this is going to be, especially if you are a Quant holder? How about this? Google Pay's offline CBDC advantage. Many CBDC solutions will struggle to gain traction by piggybacking on top of Google Pay's larger user base. Central banks reduce the friction of consumer adoption. Oh, really? And we're talking about the BIS, and we're also talking about how the BIS selected Quant Network through Overledger to get this all done. Oh my gosh, so beautiful, so beautiful. Why didn't Max cover this at the very beginning? I don't know. But additionally, because offline CBDC solutions are new, most offerings are not battle tested. True. Hence why we have all this testing. Project Hamilton, Project Icebreaker, Project Rosalind. Now we're into this new project. Do you see how this all comes together? Hopefully you do. If Google integrates with a CBDC, a big chunk of the technology is already proven, making it a low-risk option. That's cool, because when it comes to Google, we want low risk. Google is not going to get involved with something that is high risk. They have a reputation, and they're not going to let that happen. But if you have enablers, which we're going to get into here in a bit, you have to keep in mind it's a big deal. All right. So as the BIS paper highlights, think about this for a second. Each country will have different objectives. For example, in India, some people might not have regular internet access, hence the advantage of an offline CBDC. They already reiterated that. I don't know why they mentioned that twice. But Google Pay is widely used in India and already integrated with UPI, so might be a sensible option there. Oh, boom. Boom, boom, boom. So India, as we know, them and China have the two biggest populations of over 1 billion people easily. China is over a billion. I think of maybe 1.7 billion. And then we also have India, which is like what, 1.3 billion. So when we talk about mass adoption, if you create something like what we're talking about here tonight, that's huge, absolutely huge. And who doesn't know about Google Pay or Google services at this point? So I do think it's a sensible option. Now back to the whole topic of offline CBDC for cash-like anonymity. I actually pronounced that right for a change. In contrast, some advanced economies such as Europe are primarily interested in an offline CBDC as digital cash-like option, providing anonymity for smaller transactions, given Google Data's driven business models that might conflict with Europe's offline objectives. Additionally, one of Europe's strategic motivations for the digital euro is to reduce payment reliance on foreign providers such as Visa and MasterCard. Interesting. But what if you have a guy from Quant that literally already has that MasterCard connection because of Vocal Link in the past? That's not so bad. So would it be interesting? So would they, be interesting Google Pay? I think so. That depends on whether Google Pay is the only offline CBDC path or one of many. I don't really think it matters all that much, because at the end of the day, we understand where we're going to this new monetary system. Well, what about this new system even involves some of the retail? Well, it's not that it's just one that's going to get the job done, but some of the other key players. Who's one of the key players? The BIS. Who's another key player that everybody knows about? Google. Who's the enabler? Who's the plug? Who's the connect? Quant. Again, it's not hard, guys. It's not rocket science. Look at this. Central banks are also wary of big tech involvement in finance. Regulators block Facebook's DM stablecoin. Remember that. But basically, that was private digital currency perceived as a direct threat to the central bank power. Very true. Unless central banks might be reluctant to rely on technology from, of course, big tech, they naturally are wary of encouraging monopolies or oligopolies, like hence where the term oligarchs comes from. Some commercial banks are already too big to fail. I believe that. I think the BIS is too big to fail. So if they're too big to fail and they incorporate this whole thing at Google Pay, again, guys, I mean, how huge is that for Quant? This might be like some of the biggest news ever when it comes to Quant. I mean, it's definitely up there. Central banks don't want to risk that on the technology front. And on the other hand, given all payment systems have network effects, that's almost unavoidable. Very, very true. So, guys, there's more to it than this. And we're going to talk about this because we were talking a lot about the BIS. So check this out. Big shout out to the one and only Quant Papa. Give him a follow over at Quant_Papa_ on X. So when he was sending me this info, Quant Papa was talking about the Secretarium. It says CBDC is the future. In a recent guide published by the Bank of International Settlements, the BIS titled Project Polaris, interesting, high-level design guide for offline payments. Oh, you see what Mr. Quant Papa is doing here? Yeah. We have to address the elephant in the room of offline payments. Secretarium's contributions to this evolving landscape are duly acknowledged. Now, getting more into this, do we have any reference to Quant, the BIS, all this stuff? Well, yes. So getting into this, you will see even Bank of England. Draw your attention to the top left. Project sponsors. Tom Mutton, Director, CBC, Bank of England. You even have, for instance, Project Team, BIS Innovation Hub, London Center with the BIS. So BIS, Bank of England, it's all there. How about API users group in alphabetical order? Actually, before we even get into that, how about this? Vendor team, Quant. Quant Papa, why don't you highlight Quant? It's okay. It's called Quant Papa's Human, Max. Yeah, I know. Shout out to Quant Papa. But the vendor team, plain as day, Quant. Vendor team. API users group. Well, we know how big, Quant is in regards to APIs. So you have Amazon, Bank of Canada, Barclays, Idemia, MasterCard, obviously through, that plug for Gilbert Vereen many years ago with Vocal Link. Let's jump over to the right side. The right side, you do have, towards the bottom, Secretarium, Thales. Look what's also highlighted, BIS Innovation Hub, Project Rosalind. Getting more into this, How about some of the partners and adopters of specifically Secretarium? You have some of these guys. ANS, Capgemini, Intel. Who doesn't know about Intel? Societe Generale, Swisscom, Thales. Let's pull up this next one. How about this? Look what it says here. Call for agenda items, IETF. Ooh, the IETF, the Internet Engineering Task Force. I forgot all about them, Max. Yeah, let's reference them for a second. Hello all, I would like to request a short slot, 10 plus 10 minutes, to present updates on the crash recovery draft and open source Rust implementation of what? The SATP protocol. And just in case you forgot all about this stuff, I am right there with you. Don't worry about it. Let's jump into it. Here it is, straight from what? The Quant Network. Posted when? February 16th, 2023, alongside, did you forget, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, IBM, EY News, and others have put forward a charter that led the Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF, to form the Secure Asset Transfer Protocol, aka SATP. I forgot all about this, Max. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah. Working group. The working group would develop what? SATP, a new technical standard for the internet. Huh. And who's connected to all that? Quant. And what's the Bank of International Settlements trying to do? Create an offline CBDC. And who they want to connect that to? Google Pay. To serve who? The people who do not have access. There's a lot of people in India that do not have access. My God, are we not paying attention to Quant? How about this? Just in case you forgot. Look at this reference. Secure Asset Transfer Protocol, Messages and Flows. Internet Engineering Task Force, 114, SAT, BOF. When was this? July 26, 2022. Who is part of the citation? Martin Hargreaves. Also, Alex Shirok of the Quant Network. Oh, I didn't know that. Go down to here. Look at this. Mentioned specifically in the citation, what? Quant. Organization identifier. Quant. Get more into this. Message format. SATP message format. You mean the whole thing with the APIs and stuff, Max? Yes, with the APIs and stuff. The messages exchanged are in JSON format. The mandatory fields are all this technical stuff. But look what it mentions. Look what it mentions. Payload hash, message signature. Huh. Why do we have standards? Why do we have the ISO TC 307 standard? Probably because of the tokenization of what? CBDCs. So there's Quant, CBDCs, and then there's the whole thing of Google Pay. Are you kidding me? SATP defines a 3-core flow. Were you aware of this? So you have the transfer inflation flow. After the identity and asset verification flow, a sender gateway proposes a session to a receiver gateway. Huh. I wonder who that could be. Lock evidence verification flow, conveyance of claims regarding the lock status of digital asset by one gateway. Remember how many times you guys have said to me, Max, can you talk more about Quant and gateways? Boom. Boil it, mash it, stick it in stew because it's right there. And the verification of evidence by the other gateway. I see where you're going with this. Yeah. Commitment establishment flow, asset transfer, and commitment established between two gateways on behalf of their networks. Do we have any other examples? Of course we do. Look at this. All this stuff, even if you're not into this, represents Quant with the APIs. Lock evidence verification. I mean, I know some of this is the nerd stuff, but it's all there. It's all there. And then just in case you forgot, who's at the very start of it? Secure Asset Transfer Protocol, SATP, message and flows. Martin Hargreaves, Alex Shirok, Quant Network. You gotta love it when you look more into it. And just in case you guys like, I don't like the technical stuff. I just want it straight from the Quant Network. Okay. We'll give you the last example. Straight from the Quant Network. On January 23rd of 2023, which happened to be the 21st anniversary of DPG, go DPG, anyway. Designing secure bridges for asset transfer. And what is mentioned here in the tags? Bridges, developers, financial institutions. Oh, maybe the BIS? Yeah, maybe the BIS. Who's cited here? Dr. Luke Riley, head of innovation. Bridges have fewer participants and operators than major networks, and therefore offer more vulnerabilities to attack. Yeah, but you have to have something secure. Look at this for a second. Considerations for secure transfer, because we're talking about secure asset transfer protocol, right? Protocol. Bridges commonly move assets using a lock and mint flow. Oh, back to the other example, Max. Yes. You want it right from the Quant network, right? Yeah, you do. This is where tokens are sent to a specific escrow address on the origin chain. The tokens remain locked there while a representative version of this token is minted, created, and continues to exist on the destination chain. Is there a honeypot in regards to this? No. These escrow addresses attract more liquidity, effectively creating a honeypot for a possible attacker. For attacker, but not you holding the bag. There have been instances where hacker unlocks the original tokens from its escrow if the identity exploits in any associated smart contract code, or they hack the associated private keys from the bridge's off-chain infrastructure. If a successful attack occurs, the wrapped tokens on the destination chain then lose their value as the peg is broken between the locked funds and the origin chain minted on the destination chain. One way to have things basically be more secure in regards to the transfer is to have a burn and mint flow. Only one version of the token exists at a time. The tokens burn on the original chain and minted on the destination chain. I know this is a little bit of nerd talk, but I want you to see this for a second. This can work if a bridge owner controls both sets of the token contracts and their origin and destination chain. This method is commonly used to transfer assets from the permission back to the other example, restricted to only certain individuals, to permissionless, open to anyone blockchain networks. And here it is again. Burn and mint flow does not require the use of an escrow address on the origin chain, therefore removes this honeypot attack problem. So it's all done from beginning to end. And what about the standard in regards to development in regards to that? Well, Quant leading the space in international standard development for asset transfer bridges. We are a key contributor to the Internet Engineering Task Force. Oh, I see how Max did that from beginning to end. Yes. And of course, also Quant Papa. Secure Asset Transfer Protocol, SATP, which aims to standardize digital asset transfer from one network to another. What is one network to another? So the BIS, right? Their network. Who's the enabler? Quant network. To do what? Well, through the whole thing, Overledger. Overledger gets it done. Blockchain operating system. To do what? To bring this network to the other network. What's the other network? Google Pay. So yes, Quant is up to over $106. It went from $86 to $106, probably, what was it, guys, in a week? Did you take advantage of that dip? And will you still take advantage of Quant, even though it's over $100 right now? You got to do what you got to do. But I think this is massive news in regards to Quant, the BIS, and Google Pay. And with that said, that's going to conclude our Quant coverage of the night.